welcome to my first video blog for the new year. It's now 2013. This is just a video for this picture which I posted on the blog on the 23rd of December. Eva from Frozen Moments asked me how I created it, and I'd be more than happy just to show you guys. So the first thing I did is create a new document, just like this. Okay. And now I have the new document. I'm just gonna get this to be the background layer. So what I'm gonna do is just go layer, new layer, solid color, and we'll just name this background. Click OK. This is the color I actually already want. There it is. It's nice blue. Okay. I'm just gonna lock this out. In this new layer, we're just gonna create a vector mask. That's the first way to do it. Just double click here. You get your vector mask. You get your layer mask and your vector mask, or you can just go layer, add new vector mask. What you're then going to do is create your first shape, and this is actually going to be for the base for the tree. So I'm going to use the polygon tool, and you make sure you have this set to path. Once you have that done, you can then just draw your hexagon. It needs to be set to being a 5-sided shape, which you can do just here. Once you've got your hexagon selected, you can then just go to the pen tool and use the delete anchor point. Click on the path, delete the anchor point. Then using Control T, you can scale this down to about the right size. Okay. What we'll do about positioning, we'll actually do it later. Because the first thing to do is just to build up the tree. Once everything has sort of been put into shape, put into place, you can then think about the actual positioning, really. So that's the first bit. So I'm just going to press Enter, and here I'm just going to type in base. That's what it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to select my paintbrush tool quickly, and I'm just going to choose a rough red. Okay, and just color it. And this will just show you how the vector mask works. Because as you can see from this sort of little picture here, I've actually gone a bit crazy. And actually, I could just do this like this and just paint all over these places. And you can see this is going super like insane. And this is because the vector mask only lets through what is selected on the mask, just like a layer mask, apart from it's a vector. So the next bit I'm going to do is create a new layer again for the vector mask. And this time we need to do the triangle. So I use the polygon tool again. This time I only select 3 sides. Okay, then what you can do is just transform this. And you can do this quite well by just thinking about scales. I just want to distort, it's quite a... And this sort of just gives you the right shape. For your Christmas tree. Okay, and you can sort of line that up. Like that. Choose a good color for it. So it's a Christmas tree, so it needs to be green, but I don't really like them too green. And then my brush, I'm just going to paint this completely in again. This is just so I can sort of see it. Well, that's like really green, especially on that blue. And the last thing we need to do is actually use the trunk. So name this layer tree. New layer. This time we can just use the normal rectangle tool. We need a vector mask. Choose roughly the right size. I think it's a little bit too big. You don't want to be too big, you don't want to be too thin. I think that's the real issue with this. Okay. And this time I'm just going to choose a brown. Paintbrush. Brush on the brown. Excellent, but I'm going to just drop this behind. Okay, that's excellent. And let's just pull this down. So this is our Christmas tree, effectively. So just move this into the center a little bit more. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to each tree individually. I actually start with the tree at the top. That's what I'm going to do. And so with my erase tool, I'm just going to erase this guide I've got now. Okay. Okay, so now we've deleted the guide color I had there. I'm just going to go to the brushes, and I'm going to load a new brush in. So I'm going to load brushes, and it's actually called swirls. I'm not actually sure where I got it. I've got so many brushes, as you can see, that I actually don't remember where I got some of them. I like having so many brushes, but it's mainly because they become really useful when you're doing all sorts of strange design things. So here are the swirls that I mainly used. There's these ones here. If I just change the view, you can sort of see them. It was I mainly stick with these three. So what I'm going to do is just start with the first one. And what you need to do is have the color as just as white. And I sort of had it as a pretty good size. And what I did is I just started with this sort of medium-ish size. So I started about probably this big, and I just sort of painted them onto the tree. Sort of just, okay, it's probably as high as I'll go. Putting it in. And when I stopped, I went back into the brushes and I picked another one. And with this one, I sort of had it a little bit bigger. Okay, than this one here. So if we said that was about the same size, I probably went about this big. And I sort of painted again. It's sort of quite random. I'm not really trying to get too sort of cramped in here. Just where I think one can go, I'm just sort of putting it. Okay. Obviously, I've sort of left this bit up here a little bit empty, but that's because I'm going to build a star once I've done all this. So the next thing I'm going to do is get another brush. Let's say this one. And I have this one a little bit smaller. And I just put this one in now. Just a little bit like this. It's filling in. And this just creates a little bit of like, strange depth, I suppose. So building up these different sizes. You can sort of overlay. There's probably more small ones in here than the big ones because they take up less room. And I'm sort of overlaying them as well. Okay, so once that's done, I then just go to my blending options and I create an outer glow, and I actually set it to about 40, and it means you just get this nice glow like this. And then you can actually do color overlay, and this is when you can actually choose your color. My color needs to be a green, obviously, for it to be slightly Christmassy. And I'm just sort of working on this color of the background just to have it contrasted, but not too contrasted. Okay, what the opacity of the color is. Let's lower the opacity down. On the outer glow, you can sort of change this to more of a snow color. Slightly whiter, but still quite off-white. The problem with spread is it just does this. It doesn't do anything. That's why I have the spread quite low. You can obviously put this up as well, but 75 is usually about a good place to be. So once you're happy with the amount of sort of glow you've got, you then sort of do the same with the other two layers, which I'm just going to do quickly now. So I sort of go in size. Get my eraser tool. Obviously I did a lot of strange things, so I can erase everything there. Actually, probably for this one, I will probably just create a new layer and drag the vector up. And then just delete this. That's probably going to be easier. Let's call this base again. Oh, I didn't name this one. That one's trunk. Okay, let's have a look where the mask is. Okay. So my brush. So this time I'm actually going to do them in a different order. Obviously you can't have them as large, but it's going to be big for the space. That's actually probably quite big. When you actually compare it, it's more the size of this one. So if I probably go this big, and just fill this in. Okay. And it's the same pattern again. I'm actually probably going to do some just in reverse order. So I have this quite big one like this. That was normal, that's big. Okay, and do the small. Probably not so. Okay, and once again, I'm gonna use the similar settings, but not exactly the same. Because it's smaller, the outer glow needs to be a little bit less. Because if we were to go to the same level, it'd be like this. So it just needs to be a little bit less. So I'm actually probably going to go just about 20. Everything is about half the size. Obviously with the color overlay, this time I want to have a red. Okay, but still like this. Now the automatic problem you can see is the trunk. This is now a time you can actually just resize this just to make it sort of fit what you have, because you don't really want the trunk to be sort of too far underneath. So I'm just going to get my eraser tool again. When it comes to resizing vectors, it actually doesn't matter too much. It will matter with what is inside the vector, because these are brush shapes, so they're going to be linked. They're going to be they're going to be pixel based. Now I need my brush. Now, of course, with this trunk, it's actually very small, this area. So we probably have to go smaller again to what we did last time. So my brush tool, this will probably be the large size. So this is going to be like, and you can actually see that it's getting to this point of a little bit ridiculous, and you can't really see, but that's fine. I actually don't like that size, so let's go back to my history. There we go. Maybe a little bit bigger. And you can see I just randomly painting, well, putting these swirls on. There's not much you can actually do with this, you know, when you got the side. I don't want to go outside too much, because you'll lose the effect a little bit. Okay, we'll now go for the next one down, which is this one, which I'm actually going to have actually, I'll mix it up a bit, so I'll make this one the big one, I'll make it one small. So if that's that, then you go like this. It's probably going to fit like a few of these, and maybe one here, like this, one here, one here, one here. Okay. With the small brush, I'm going to use this middle one. Okay, just sort of filling that in. It's so small it doesn't really make any sense, really. But there we go. And then you just do exactly the same. Once again, you have to have the blending options a little different. I think Outer Grove 2 is pretty good on this one. Color overlay, we needed like more of a brown color, like we had earlier. Okay, so what you can actually do now is have a look at how much this that glow is not too much of a glow. Is it? Oh, whoa, there we are. Maybe 10, 9. 9 looks pretty good actually. Okay. So this is really your tree. So what you can do now is just sort of move things around a little bit, just to make sure it looks okay. I've always lowered that up, lower that one down. The tree can go actually over it quite a bit, because you would sort of be able to see through. Now the only thing I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to create a star. I'm going to take this out of the custom shape, like all my snowballs and stuff. And this is the star I sort of used. It's actually the star I used. So what I'm going to do is just create a new layer, like we did before. Double click for the vector mask, delete the layer mask, name this star, draw my star. Okay. That didn't work. 1 second. Why not? Path, yeah. There we go. Now it worked. Get the star to the right size, because you're thinking about the star is on the tree. And I would probably say this would probably be the right size for my particular tree. So all I'm going to do now is exactly the same as I did earlier. Zoom in, select the brush tool, and just do these brushes again. I'll start with this one. Oh no, maybe I should start with the middle one. Start with the middle one. Okay. So you have this one as the... No, this one is the big one. No, this one is the big one. Change my mind again. Over and over and over. Change my mind. So that's the big one. Oops. That's probably enough. And then we just go to this one for the small one. Okay. And then once again, blending options, outer glow. So I try and make it match the glow of the tree, but not too much. Yep. And this time the overlay is going to be a yellow, not this red. So I would probably not say like sort of too strong. But there we go. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is just link or group up all my layers. Okay. And what I'm going to do is click on the group. And I'm going to put some brightness and contrast. And just play with how much brightness it is, but clipping it to the group for the Christmas tree. So I want a bit of contrast, probably not a little too much. And next thing I'm going to do is actually some saturation and vibrance. Okay, let's start a little bit low actually. Might actually raise it. Okay, and in here, I'm probably just going to put like another, get the brush. Yeah, because these are the beginning size ones. And this is the way you can just, so it says if you need to, you can just add in some extra bits here and there, just sort of make it all work. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is just put a little bit of snow on it. And this actually was quite easy. Let's create a brand new layer. This time I got my brush and I chose just a small brush which basically had like very soft and not too big. And then when I went to brush, I then went into the brush shape, and I put a quite a large spacing then between it. And in dynamics, I added a bit of a jitter. Go back for the space. And so I started with just this size, I had this as a white, and I literally just painted it all over a little bit. And that was pretty good, just as a beginning. Just lower the opacity a little bit. And then I went back to my brush, and with the swirls, they actually came with these sort of dot swirls. So I actually used these as well. Just this, and then sort of switch it around a bit. Just to sort of give it this sort of snow feel. This one goes right down the middle. Just to sort of look, it doesn't look regular, it just looks a little bit even. A few more bits and pieces, maybe this one. Do I have this one? Where is it? This one. Okay, there it is on the X. That'll look quite good like here. Go back to that brush I had earlier. And that's what I did for this, and I just sort of play around the opacity a bit, just to get it fitting quite nicely. I then decided, so if we actually look at my layers, this is where I am with my snow. My snow's a little bit smaller than I did in this one. This one's actually got quite a big snow. And actually you can see that even though it's the exact same method, the trees do look a little bit different in both of them, which is quite nice. I quite like that when, even though I repeat a process twice, it sort of does look a little bit different. So the next thing I was just going to do, so now the snow layer is complete. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new layer, I'm going to make a new fill layer with just a solid color, have it as black. And then what I'm just going to do is use the brush and make sure it's actually the brush this time, not my strange brush I made. Create the brush size to about the size of the image. Then I'm just going to lower the opacity down of the brush and paint onto the layer mask and set this to overlay and literally just paint on. You can move around a little bit as you do it. Okay, that looks quite nice. Just like that. Maybe to the bottom and a little bit more to the top. What we can do is just duplicate that layer and put the second one as multiply, and maybe just reduce the opacity a bit. With this, I'm just going to play around just a little bit on the contrast. There we are. And on the saturation just a little bit. And I'm just now going to resize this just so it fits a little bit better. Control T, Shift Alt.
And that's pretty much the whole thing. It does look a little bit different because I did do this one instead of doing this with the doing the color in the layer style. I actually did this text quite differently. I had it as a color overlay, but I think in the layer style it actually works quite well. You can sort of play around with the layer style just to get the amount of coloring right afterwards if you wanted to. But it's a pretty good example of what I was trying to go for with the technique. It was pretty much thought up on the spot when I did it, and I really do quite like it. And there's a lot of options to go in and make some changes later if you wanted to. So that's really it. That's a nice sort of design for next Christmas. You can start making your Christmas cards now. If you're ever wondering how I did something in any of my images, you can always just send me a message on my Twitter, my Facebook, or even on my blog. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I'm sorry if it was a little bit long, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.